Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We have a bit of a bonus video today because something major happened yesterday. Linkin Park released a new single with a new singer. So we're going to be checking that out, as well as one song from the live stream that they also performed yesterday with the new vocalist, showcasing this new single, but also playing a lot of their older tracks. So let's dive into this. We're going to kick it off with The Emptiness Machine, which is their latest single. We're going to see what's going on with Linkin Park and what they're bringing to the table today.
Your blades are sharpened with precision. Flashing your favorite.
Nice upbeat 4/4 here.
I know you're waiting in the distance, just like you always do, just like you always do. Already pulling me in.
The highly compressed drums is a nice way of ramping up intensity, because we're going to punch it in. Oh, we didn't punch it in yet.
Falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine.
There we go. All right. Okay. Bringing the bridge vocals underneath the final chorus. It's a very abrupt ending there. Alright. We're going to start with the elephant in the room, right? The new vocalist. This reminds me of when David passed away from Big Big Train last year, I think it was, the year before maybe. And they had to find a new vocalist. And I mean, it's really difficult, I think, to... It's difficult to replace a vocalist at all, even if your vocalist just leaves for another project or something, because your fans are going to be expecting a sound. And for a lot of people, the vocalist is the heart of the music. It's what they're going to be engaging with the most. The vocal delivery, the lyrics that they write. It's the linguistic elements of the music. The music itself is sort of secondary, I think, for a majority of listeners of music. In definitely the mainstream realm where Linkin Park sits. And so replacing a vocalist it's tough. Because there's no right answer. You either get somebody who's a pretty close fit, somebody who matches inflections and tones and styles and timbres, and then they get called, a dollar store knockoff or something like that, because they're never going to be perfect. Or you swing the exact opposite way, find something totally new in an attempt to explore a new era of your bands, and then your old fans don't like what you're doing. There's no way to win with it. There really isn't. And so I don't envy the position that bands like Big Train and Linkin Park and hundred of other bands have been in, having to replace a vocalist, especially in a situation like this where your vocalist didn't leave the project, they left the world. And that was a very impactful thing for a lot of people growing up with Linkin Park, a lot of fans. I mean, that was a heavy day when Chester decided to take his life. So how do you kickstart Linkin Park again? I think this works. It still captures the vibe of what Chester brought. It has the soothing cleans to it, the introspection and isolation of the lighter, airier notes, but also she brings a level of aggression that can express pain as well in that chorus. Pain, anger, anything. She encompasses both sides, the beauty and the grit, just like Chester did, but she does it in her own way. It's going to allow them to walk both ends of this spectrum, something that is kind of close to the original vocalist, but also allows them to explore new sounds if they wish. It isn't a carbon copy, but there's enough underlying similarities that hopefully it will appease old fans while allowing the band to grow and mature and explore new sounds. It's also, I think, one of the riskier decisions. It's a lot easier just to commit to one side or the other in picking a new vocalist. But just from this single song, I think she's going to be a great addition to the band. Whether she honors Chester's legacy or fills his shoes or anything like that, I think that's just going to be up to each listener. It's a very subjective thing, but I think viewing this particularly just from the perspective of the music, does her vocals fit their sound? I think that's a resounding yes, from a very objective standpoint. I'm here for it. I can't wait to see what Linkin Park does moving forward. I think this is a solid showcasing of who the band is at this moment. But y'all don't come here for ideas about larger concepts of how to push bands forward. You usually come here for analysis. So what is this song doing? It's a radio single. I can't say that I really liked it from every angle. There are some cool things in it. First of all, I do want to touch on variety. Verse 1 is sung by a different person than verse 2, so we get different textures and timbres there. We also have different ranges there, which I thought was pretty nice. Also, both of the first choruses are different, with the first one being a bit softer. We have the compressed drums behind it and just piano rather than the full band. It creates something a bit more somber and isolating, whereas the second and final chorus end up feeling a bit more bombastic and explosive. I can't wait to get into the lyrics and see what kind of ideas might be present in that thematic choice there, how that ties into the larger lyrics and themes of the song. So I enjoyed that. We also have variations in the final chorus. It isn't just a repeat of that second, more explosive chorus. We also bring more harmonies into it. And on top of that, we have counterpoint with Mike Shinoda coming in underneath it, bringing the bridge lyrics and bridge melodies into that final chorus. So every time we hear the chorus, something new happens. Every time we hear the the verse, something new happens. And even the bridge, as repetitive as it is split into a low energy and high energy version of itself. There is contrast even within itself. This duality might even play into the lyrics. I don't know. Like I said, we'll get there when we get there. But there is a lot of duality, of highs and lows, of competing ends of a spectrum being showcased here. There isn't a single part of this song where we hear something that we have heard previously in an identical fashion. There is always some shift or change or slight variation to it to make it a new idea. And I am a huge fan of that. Y'all know. I love that so much. But musically, I do find this a bit simple. And that's not a bad thing. I think particularly even for it being a debut single after like 7 years. I know there was a couple of unreleased tracks released over the past few years. Stuff where maybe the vocals had been recorded prior to Chester's passing, but the song never got finished. And they ended up finishing the track up and releasing it not as a demo, but as a fully produced and mastered song. But aside from those ideas, Linkin Park hasn't put out a song in almost a decade. It's been like 7 years, right? You got to come out with something that's gonna grab people, and I think a single like this works. But to me, it ends up being a bit simple. There are no melodies in here, I think, other than the vocals. Sometimes an instrument might line up with that to provide texture layering, but we never really hear a melody out of the guitars or the piano. Everything else is either texture or harmony, providing chords or atmosphere. We also don't have any variation in the vocals, but I don't want to, in the vocal delivery. And maybe that's just me expecting a specific thing out of Linkin Park, which is the totally wrong thing to do. I was really hoping for more of Mike's rapping on this, but I don't even know if that's who Linkin Park is anymore. Something that I haven't really talked about at all, other than, I've had this conversation with myself in my mind a lot over the years. But Linkin Park doesn't stand still. They're not static at all. Every album feels drastically different from those that came before them. Now, I have not listened to all Linkin Park either. I have heard Hybrid Theory, Meteora, the singles off of Minute to Midnight, which might have just been bleeded out. I don't know if I've heard anything else from that album. I think I heard a song from like a Transformer soundtrack. Maybe that was on Minutes to Midnight. Maybe that was its own song. I don't remember. And then I missed everything until Hunting Party. And I haven't heard anything since. So I have a lot of gaps in my knowledge. So maybe Mike doesn't do the rapping thing anymore. I don't know. But I found it very interesting to hear him singing. It's been a long time since I heard Hunting Party. In fact, I can't really remember much from it either, so I only heard it the once, whereas Meteor and Hybrid Theory, I spun thousands of times. But having both of them sing, I think I was expecting something else. And I was probably wrong for that. But I would like a little bit more variety from that. Though I do enjoy, like I mentioned, verse 1 and chorus 1 had different timbres in voice than verse 2 and chorus 2. And I do like that variety. So maybe that would be enough. Maybe I just, it's... The thing is, right, it's impossible to say, oh, it's a new Linkin Park song from, a 7-year gap and not come into this with expectations. When really the song you need to come into it without expectations, to accept it for what it is, not weighed down by its past. And it's really, really hard to do that. Maybe this isn't as big of a negative as I thought, and it's just going to take time to acclimate. But yeah, they don't stand still. Every album's different. Maybe this album is just going to be another new step for them. I would like some other stuff. I did see in the music video, they showed the DJ dude, but I didn't hear any electronic sounds on here. And I was listening. I was trying real hard. All I hear is guitar, bass, drums, and vocals, and the piano, which I thought was a nice touch for some of the places, but it quickly gets overshadowed once the band comes in. But like I said, all in all, it's not a bad song for a single. It's very palatable, it's very catchy, it's high energy, high contrast, and it's easily digestible, which is probably what you want coming out of hiatus. You want to get as many people on board as possible, especially given that you have a vocalist change here. So I'm kind of hoping that we hear some more... I don't want to use this word because I feel like it's not the right word, but we hear more interesting tracks moving forward now that we have this out of the way. Now that the stage has been set. Now that we're getting people back on board with things and acclimated to any changes, we can start to see some more of the expressive writing that I know Linkin Park can do. This just ends up feeling very standard radio alt rock. I don't think there's anything musically in here that another band couldn't produce. And there's nothing in here that feels distinctly Linkin Park, which I think is what I'm getting at here. And again, that's not a bad thing, but coming from somebody who Linkin Park is a very unique, distinct sound, having only heard some of their work, I think that's what I'm really missing here is anything that would make it distinct. And as of right now, it kind of doesn't. But that's what's necessary. So I'm going to get off of this. Is there anything else I want to talk about here? I don't think so. It's a solid track. It really is. It's a good 6 out of 10. As far as I'm concerned, probably higher than that for some people who just really like straightforward music. I'm going to have to listen to it a couple more times, though, get a gist of what type of music they're trying to create now. But I'm really looking forward to the future singles and their album, which comes out in November 15th. I got to put that in my calendar. I will be listening to that on launch day, and I will be doing album reviews by then, and it's certainly, I'm gonna have to do a video for it. Wait, what is this? An interview about this new single, new album, Return to Music, all with... Oh, Apple Music interviewed them. That video came out an hour ago. I'm gonna have to check that out. Alright, lyrics. This song is about trying to break out of bad habits and take a proper, healthy step forward. If my interpretation of this is right, it's kind of on the nose, and it's probably the best song to start with, but it's also, I think, an awkward song to start with. Concerning the idea of starting Linkin Park again up after 7 years. It talks about in opposition. It says, your blades are sharpened with precision, flashing your favorite point of view. I know you're waiting in the distance just like you always do. already pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. The idea that there is an adversary just waiting to express any faults in our narrator. And our narrator knows that they're going to get sucked into it. They're going to get baited into this argument or this conversation or this fight or whatever it is. He mentions blades being sharpened, but I think that's a bit more metaphorical. But he says, I get baited. You're already pulling me in. You're already under my skin. And I know how this ends. It ends poorly for me every time. And yet I fall for the bait. I know how this happens. Like verse 1 says, you're waiting in the distance like you always do. And so we cut to the chorus. It says, I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. I gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be, and I don't know why I'm hoping for what I won't receive, falling for the promise of the emptiness machine. I do everything for you. I bleed. I let you cut me just to see what's inside. I get nothing out of this relationship. You get to see my innermost, darkest secrets. You get to see me in pain and expressing myself. And I change who I am so that I can appease you. All in the hopes that I can find fulfillment in some way, but I never do. Those promises of fulfillment, they're not real. They're promised by the emptiness machine. A machine that provides only a feeling of lacking will never make me feel complete. And so I really think this song could be about the band, and maybe even particularly just Mike Shinoda, and his relationship to the Linkin Park fandom. That he feels there's no right way to push the band forward, which we talked about this earlier, about how do you bring in a new vocalist after Chester? Not just the sound of the band, but kind of the sound of a generation. If you're a millennial who listened to rock, you grew up with Chester. There is no other vocalist like him in the 2000s rock field. And you could probably extrapolate that out even further. He was just had a very unique voice to him. Not his timbre and projection, although he was very identifiable, but the voice that he used in writing his music as well, the lyrical voice. How do you move forward from that? You really can't. I mean, this sounds like he's walking on eggshells with the fandom. Again, this could not be this interpretation at all. This could be a completely different person that he feels he has to walk on eggshells around and be very careful around and wear a mask about who he is. But my immediate interpretation, because of what this song is doing, because of it coming out with the new vocalist, because of it being the first single in 7 years, it's a big message. It isn't just some random song about some dude that he has a problem with or something like that. I really think it's about his relationship to the brand of Linkin Park. Not even necessarily the band, but the brand and the fandom of it. And so I really like the bridge then. It says, I only wanted to be part of something. And that's just repeated over and over and over. And so we get to the final chorus, though, and Emily is singing the part about being naive and falling for the emptiness machine's promise and changing who they are. And underneath that, Mike starts bringing that bridge back in. I only wanted to be part of something. I think this is very vulnerable. My interpretation of this is that Mike wanted to be part of something bigger, so he put Linkin Park together. There is no way that he could have known that who would become probably a close friend to him would end up taking his life and putting this dark cloud over this band, over this project that was supposed to be Mike's output, his outlet. And so, the band was just as much everybody's as it was Chester's, and yet for the fans, a lot of the fans, it was Chester's thing. If he's not there, then the band shouldn't move on. And I feel like Mike really has this duality within him of understanding that perspective, but also wanting to continue on with the Linkin Park project. Because it is something special. It is a band that doesn't stand still. They continue to change their sounds over the years. It's not just Chester. He was a big part of it, for sure, but much like Big Big Train and many other bands whose vocalists passed away or left the project and had to be replaced, the bands can change and grow because it's never just one person, unless it's a solo project. You can't really do Nine Inch Nails without Trent Reznor, but this is not that. And so Mike really feels this duality of wanting to honor his friend and say, okay, this is a capsule of Chester, and Linkin Park, we're just going to have to leave it alone. But also saying, no, I love this band. I love what we're doing. I love my bandmates, and I think we make awesome music together. I want to push Linkin Park forward, and not really knowing how to sit here. And him putting all of that right here in this track. That's how I interpret it. Anyways, I may be completely off, and I don't have any insight into Mike's ideas or not. I know he does like Twitch streams, but I don't watch them. I don't keep up with his social media or anything like that. I'm totally injecting a narrative on this that it's a hypothesis at best. But that's what I'm reading out of this. And that at this point, he's kind of tired of doing what the fandom wants, and he's going to do what he wants. And he thinks that this is going to be the best path forward. He's not going to give up who he is anymore. He's not going to fall for the promises of the Emptiness Machine. He's gonna take a step forward and say, this is also our project, and we're going to honor Chester as best we can, but we have to move forward. I really appreciate that. It takes guts, I think, to put this out. I'm sure that the Linkin Park fandom is large. It's a pretty big group of people for you to call out like this, if my interpretation's right. And to have the guts to say, no, this is how we're doing it. And it's going, like I said, this is very wild idea for your first song with your new singer to come out and say, I think y'all are wrong, and I'm going to do it the way that I think it needs to get done. That's, I hope it works out for him. I really do. Now, I did mention that we're going to listen to one more thing here. They did a live stream called From Zero, where they performed some of their older songs with the new vocalist. And in particular, I wanted to play Numb. Is that what I picked? Yes, that is what I picked. There's a lot of songs there that I wanted to hear, but I think this is going to be the one that, if I remember the song correctly, will showcase enough of the softer vocals and heavier vocals in older style, because I'm really curious how her vocals work alongside the older material. Not that I think Linkin Park is going to revisit the sounds in their new work, but if you go see Linkin Park live, you're gonna see some of the older songs, right? And I'm just really curious how that works. So let's dive into this and look at Numb with the new Linkin Park lineup.
With the LP boys, so for one last time, I need y'all to roll. So what the hell are you waiting for? After us, there should be no more. So for one last time, we'll make some noise.
This isn't how it starts, is it? Yeah, that's how it starts. That must have been something different for the live.
walking in your shoes. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. Every step that I take is another mistake to you. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. I become so numb, I can feel you there. Become so tired, so much more away. I'm becoming there. All I want to do is be more like them and be less like you. Can't you see that you're smothering me? Holding too tightly, afraid to lose control. 'Cause everything that you thought I would be is falling apart right in front of you. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. And every step that I take is another mistake to you. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. And every second I waste is more than I can take. I become so numb, I can feel you there. Become so tired, so much more away. I'm becoming there. All I want to do is be more like them and be less like you. And I know the end of failing too. But I know you were just like that with someone disappointed in you. And I become so dumb. And I'm becoming this. All I want to do is be more like them and be less like I become so numb. I'm tired of being what you want me to be. I become so numb. What you want me to
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to watch this whole live stream because, like I said, there's a lot of classic songs in there that I enjoy. And that right there, I think it told me everything I need to know. I'm not gonna do a full analysis on Numb because I'm just not. I don't really have a good reason for it. But what I really wanted to focus on there is to see how it all works together. And I think her voice, much like we saw in the Emptiness Machine, does work very well with their sound, even their older sounds. But I saw something I wasn't expecting. I went into this wanting to see how the vocalist fit in, but did y'all see Mike? The dude is all smiles. He looks like he's been waiting to play these songs, or at least this song in particular. But probably this whole, I mean, this is 40 minutes into this concert. If he's smiling here, he's probably been smiling the whole time. That's my guess. It just looks like he's really happy to be here, to be doing this. And I think it solidifies some of the ideas that I was talking about regarding the lyrics. I think he has been wanting to bring the band back together to take the next step as Linkin Park, albeit without Chester, and he's really excited to finally do this. And it probably does go against a lot of fans' wishes. No vocalist change, or even in, it doesn't even have to be vocals. Like I said, vocals are pretty big in mainstream music, but I mean, if you have a very iconic guitarist in your band or drummer, can you imagine Tool without Danny? That would not go over too well, I think. Some artists bring a very unique element to a band. And sometimes it's every part of the band. Every member together is what makes it. Sometimes it's not just one specific musician, but it's difficult to push forward, and I think they're doing the best they can with this and trying to navigate it in a way that they hope will resonate with fans. I don't know what the fan response has been so far, but But I'm not the biggest Linkin Park fan, but I'm on board with this. Like I said, I can't wait to hear the album in November, and I gotta watch the rest of this live stream. Mike just looks so happy to be here, and it puts so much, like I said, of the Emptiness Machine's lyrics in perspective. It really feels like this has been weighing on him for a long time, and he's just been wanting to do this, but felt that he can't. Maybe because of the fandom. Maybe because of, I don't know, op-eds that have been written, editorials about, Chester's impact on the music scene. Like, how do you push Linkin Park forward when Chester was so beloved in the rock scene? And it's nice to see it looks like at least that some of that weight has been lifted off of him. And the rest of the band members. Everyone up there looked like they were having a good time. So it's probably refreshing, is probably the right word for them to enter this new phase and to finally, I hope this doesn't sound wrong, but to finally put their past behind them, honoring Chester, but no longer letting him hang over the band the way that he's done. Not that he, I think, ever wanted that, but he just touched so many people that it's what ended up being his legacy in a sense. And finally being able to get out from under that and push the band forward, I think this will be healthy. Maybe not for the whole fandom. Like I said, I'm sure there's going to be some people upset about it. It happens every time a big change up happens with a band, but I think it's going to be healthy for the band themselves. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they go from here, where they take this. So those are my thoughts. Linkin Park's The Emptiness Machine, and I guess more generally my thoughts on the band as a whole and where they're going. I think I thought more about that than I did the song itself. But again, it's really difficult. There's so much circumstance around this song that it can't exist in a vacuum. It is all of the context around it. And that's what makes it, I think, a more gutsy move than anything else, to release the Emptiness Machine, regardless of what it even says, regardless of what the music in the song is, to release a new single at all. It's a big move. And like I said, I don't envy anyone in that position, but I really hope the best for the group moving forward. So yeah, these are my thoughts. What are your thoughts, though, on this? Did you enjoy the song? Is there anything in it that stood out to you that maybe I missed, or maybe a detail I was wrong about that I need to be corrected on? Let me know. Put all that stuff down in the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. Takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow. We have a full album to check out. Sunday, we have the live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. UTC. We just hang out, chit-chat, listen to some music. Good company, good conversation, good jams. I gotta get another good C word to describe music. We got company, conversation, and then songs. And I like the alliteration. I gotta work on that tagline. Anyways, yeah, and then Monday, we get back into the usual schedule of nightly single song reactions. So until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.